breaking overnight, police are investigating now the shocking deaths of legendary director Reiner and his wife, Michelle. Found dead in their Los Angeles home yesterday, the couple was killed in what authorities are calling apparent homicides. In a late press conference, the LAPD, though, said they are not currently searching for anyone as a suspect, saying at that point they were still seeking a search warrant to carry out a full crime scene investigation there. CNN's Stephanie Elam has the very latest. She is near the home in Los Angeles and joins us now. Stephanie, what are you hearing?
Kate, obviously we're looking for so many more answers to so many questions that people have here. And I was getting them as quickly as people like. We can see back here behind me, we've got police lights, and down there we can see the investigation where those clear lights are down there in the distance. Those whites, all of this happening here in this tight-knit community of Brentwood, and just a seismic loss, not just for Hollywood, but for a lot of people outside of this industry as well. When you look at how much the Reiners have contributed to what has produced here in California and in the country. So lots of questions on what has happened here. What we do know, as we heard from the LAPD Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton, is that there are still more steps before we get more answers. Take a listen.
Chief, why are you not exactly looking for a suspect? Are you confident you know who did this?
We have not identified a suspect at this time.
Well, then shouldn't you be looking for one so these neighbors aren't worried about their own lives and their own safety?
Yeah, so at this time, after we determine, so I need everyone to understand something. In order to comply with the legal process, before we do anything here, we have to get a search warrant because there are issues regarding standing at this residence. So as long as those legal requirements are met, we can continue the investigation.
And then keep in mind that it is just after 4 o'clock in the morning here in Los Angeles. Still going to take some time since we were in the overnight, but we do know that the first call came in the afternoon, local time yesterday, about this loss, and we are seeing more and more people come out and speaking about this. But obviously this entire community and the industry as whole are shaken today by this news. Kate?
Yeah, and just talk about that reaction that has been coming in. I mean, just shocking is often an overused word, and this is absolutely a shock.
Yeah, titan of industry is often an overused term, but it really does apply here. I mean, you're talking about a man who shot to fame because of being an actor on All in the Family, who went on thinking he was going to be single and then ended up meeting Michelle, singer, and they got married and were together for over 30 years, both of them working together and having their own projects. And so many of Rob Reiner's movies are quotable. You know, you think of Princess Bride, you can think of lines from that, you can think of All in the Men, you can think of the way people remember his movies, and you're seeing that play out. And so who we've heard from today, I mean, we've heard from the governor of California, Governor Gavin Newsom, saying he is heartbroken. That's the same way we heard Barack Obama use as well. We've heard from Kamala Harris and others who are reaching out now to let people know just how huge of a loss this is.
Reiner's family confirmed to CNN that Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner were both found dead. Detectives are investigating an apparent homicide at their home after finding 2 bodies there. The LAPD have not officially released the identities of the victims.
We have not identified a suspect at this time. We're going to try and speak to every family member that we can to get to the facts of this investigation.
Reiner's career in Hollywood stretched decades. He was a prolific director with titles including This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, and A Few Good Men. CNN entertainment reporter Lisa Respers France joins me now. It's fair to say this is an absolute shock nationally, but as well as for the Hollywood community. Can you talk about what you've been hearing or not?
Yeah, what we've been hearing is people are devastated, as you said, shocked, cannot believe it. The word that I think is most going to be used when it comes to Rob Reiner is range. He had such an incredible range. He worked with so many people. Christopher Guest and his wife, Jamie Lee Curtis. Christopher Guest, of course, was in This Is Spinal Tap. They released a statement expressing condolences and their shock. People are just mourning him greatly. because he was so beloved, so well known. One of my friends said he's got to be the most Nepo baby ever, because he went above and beyond what people expected of him. He continued to act, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, he was just in season 4 of The Bear. He's in the sequel to Spinal Tap 2, which just came out. But he really, really loved making movies, and just looking at that list of films, just banger after banger after banger. Just people loved what he produced. And they also are leaning into his love story with his wife, because they met on the set of When Harry Met Sally. And he said, Audie, that he changed the ending of the movie and made it more hopeful and romantic, because initially they were not supposed to be a couple, but after he met her, it sounded like it was love at first sight for him. And I mean, he was inspired to change the ending to that beloved movie. And so we know how they were partners, not just in marriage, but also in business together. They worked very closely together, and people just cannot believe this is a tremendous, tremendous loss for Hollywood and for the world, Audie.
Yeah, she had been a photographer, and when they did meet after that, they worked on many projects together later on. He also had praised his wife in the past, even because of some of his politics. He was very well known in political circles, especially among Democrats. I think the governor, Gavin Newsom, actually released a statement saying Rob was a passionate advocate for children and for civil rights, taking on big tobacco, to fighting for marriage equality, to serving as a powerful voice in early education. Can you talk about her and their partnership in activism?
Yes, they both were very passionate about people, and especially the disenfranchised. And we see with Nancy Pelosi coming out and calling them dear friends and talking about their passion for others. President Obama released a statement. So they were extremely well known in political circles, but also because they really stood up for others. They believed in helping people that they felt were not getting a fair shot, not getting a fair chance. And they were both equally passionate, as I said, about doing that type of work and being outspoken about it. Neither one of them were shrinking violets when it came to their beliefs. And so they're being held not just for the work that they did, but also for the compassion that they led with in their lives.
You know, Lisa, these are people, as they were still active, they were still working, they were still making projects. What are people out there talking about, you know, not their legacy, but even their active work in Hollywood?
Yeah, they're talking about what projects we will never get from them. You know, what they were, you know, there were a lot of conversation about the Spaceballs sequel and about Rob Reiner being involved in that. And people just are now saying, they had so much gas left in the tank. You know, they just were both so incredibly creative, and people are now saying there are movies that we will never get, that won't be produced, won't be directed by the couple, because they're no longer with us. And so there's a great deal of sadness in Hollywood and among fans, but especially among people who knew them and loved them and worked with them. And so, you know, their legacy stands, but it's a legacy that, even though, you know, they had been in Hollywood for decades, still feels like it was cut short, Audie.
We're going to be more outpouring of grief today from Hollywood. Lisa Respers, friends, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Spinal Tap, The Princess Bride, and When Harry Met Sally.
We do have team coverage this morning, and we begin with Mario Ramirez, who's in the neighborhood there in Brentwood, at home. Good morning.
We are just outside home here on Chadbourne Avenue. You can see it here behind me. We can tell you that we're getting new details here as we watched a lot of that police activity here this morning. Overnight, the street was flooded with investigators, coroner's crews, fire crews, and now dozens of media here lining the streets. So take a look. That new information here coming from TMZ. The couple's son, 32-year-old Nick Reiner, is in custody this morning. Now, the LAPD, we want to be clear, hasn't said if he's been the suspect or what led up to the murders here, but still so many questions here about this homicide investigation as we're learning that new information. Now, this quiet neighborhood turning into a major police scene, a major crime scene over the weekend, that disturbing discovery inside the home here. LAPD and fire crews responded to the 2-block Chadbourne Avenue around 3:30 yesterday afternoon. Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, found dead. Reiner, a well-known figure in for decades, and the focus is what police are calling an apparent homicide. Investigators now working to piece together what led up to all of this. Authorities say those fire paramedics were called to the home here yesterday for a medical emergency, and inside they found those 2 bodies. Police confirming that during a news conference yesterday, few details, but saying that detectives were waiting for a search warrant before conducting a full investigation inside and around the home. They did that. We saw investigators going in and out this morning. Police also confirming that the person who initially reported the incident was at the home, but again, emphasizing there have been no arrests and no suspects named in the case. Take a listen.
At this time, the Los Angeles Police Department is not seeking anyone as a suspect or a person of interest or in any other manner, and we will not be doing that until we conduct our investigation and we move forward. Now, when I tell you that we have not identified a suspect, it doesn't mean that we're not working the case. We will not identify a suspect until that person is identified as a suspect, and we're legally seeking them if there is a crime to be reported and if that person is a suspect of that crime.
A spokesperson for the Reiner family early this morning or overnight confirmed the deaths and released a statement saying the family is devastated by the sudden loss, asking for privacy. And detectives say the next steps will depend on evidence collected from the scene. And again, we saw LAPD investigators here in and out of the home for about 12 hours before that scene was cleared early this morning, now allowing cameras right in front of the property here in this upscale neighborhood. Now live in Brentwood, I'm Mario Ramirez. We'll send it back to you.
Oh, Mario, thank you. It's such tough news. And of course, everyone's grappling with this, including a lot of reaction from Hollywood, right, Amanda? It is just shocking to hear.
Just as shocked as all of us are. The same with a lot of actors and especially his close friends. I mean, we are still processing all the details that are still coming in right now. TMZ just reporting their son is in custody. But I want to just celebrate the man that is Rob Reiner. I mean, he was a talent that truly spanned generations. A lot of our parents first were introduced to him, and maybe some of us when he was Meathead in All in the Family.
Right.
Since then, others knew him as the writer and director of some of their all-time favorite, very quotable films. Take a look here. Depending on who you ask and their age, you'll get a variety of responses to the question, hey, what's your favorite Rob Reiner movie? The reason behind that question, because he made so many classics like Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, The Spinal Tap, A Few Good Men, The Truth. You can't handle the truth.
But look at all that. I mean, the range of movies that he directed.
President.
Misery.
When Harry Met Sally, which was around the time he met his wife, Michelle. And the list just goes on and on. Did you know this? That he was one of the producers behind Seinfeld. Castle Rock Entertainment produced Seinfeld. Wow. Many of the people Reiner directed in those movies were some of the first to react to he and his wife's horrible and tragic deaths. You have Kathy Bates, who worked with Reiner on Misery and won an Oscar. She said in a statement, I'm horrified hearing this terrible news, absolutely devastated. I loved Rob. He was brilliant and kind, a man who made films of every genre to challenge himself as an artist. He also fought courageously for his political beliefs. He changed the course of my life. Corey Feldman, who worked with Reiner and Stand By Me, sharing, OMG, this is horrible news. I'm so sorry for Rob and his wife and their children and the whole Reiner family. All I can say is I'm shocked and saddened, but I love you, Rob. You will be forever missed. John Cusack's first starring role was in Reiner's The Sure Thing. He posted, shocked by the death of Rob Reiner, a great man. And we have Paul Feig, who's a filmmaker as well, and a man. One of the most cherished pictures. Rob was my true hero, a true visionary, titan, and a lovely, lovely person. This is the part of the post I really appreciated. One never knows if it's proper to post during something as tragic as this, but I just want the world to know what so many of us know in the industry. Rob was the best. It is true. You start seeing a lot of people posting their photos with the recently deceased, and Paul bringing awareness to that, saying, not sure if this was the right thing to do, but all in trying to share what a good man he was. And I want to share one more thing about him being a good man. His ex-wife was Penny Marshall. He had a daughter named Tracy. He adopted Tracy as his own daughter. That's Tracy Reiner, who is in a league of their own. And then him and Michelle went on to have kids. He really had 4 kids total, counting Tracy Reiner.
That's right. And anybody who's ever really interviewed him on the red carpet or who's done junkets with him describes the same way. He's just very warm and friendly. Yes, a class act.
Class act. I mean, we were born in the same city, the Bronx, and he just had that energy. We just saw him in The Bear as Albert Schnurr. I mean, he had such a presence about him, and he will be missed beyond measure.
And I think you see all the classics that he was touching, right, in terms of bringing this art to life and the creativity. It has a common theme. Yes, just grounded in humanity.
Yes.
I think that's what a lot of people are saying, how look at all of these classics, right? And just the theme through all of it is just highlighting humanity in some great way.
And when Harry met Sally, he met his wife during that time. He actually changed the ending to the film because of his wife.
Oh my goodness.
So I also just want to note too, if you go back and watch First Wives Club, you know, we had to say goodbye to Diane Keaton earlier this year. Rob Reiner was all in First Wives Club. He played Goldie Hawn's plastic surgeon doctor in that as well. And so, I mean, the list goes on and
on so many Hollywood classics for sure.
A legend.
He'll be missed. Gosh, this is a story we're, of course, following all morning here on Good Day LA. As any new information and reaction comes in, we're expecting a press conference from LAPD sometime this morning. Their live report coming up as well later on this hour. You can also read updates on foxla.com or on the Fox local app.
A source close to Rob Reiner is telling NBC News tonight he can confirm that the film director and actor Rob Reiner and his wife have been found dead in their home in Brentwood, California, from apparent stab wounds. There is a huge police presence in that area of California tonight. Joining me now from Los Angeles is NBC's Liz Croy. As I know you are following this closely, what can you tell us?
Yeah, hi, Jessica. This is just stunning news that is going to have major, huge shockwaves across Hollywood tonight, as now a source close to the legendary director and actor Rob Reiner has confirmed to NBC News that Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, were found stabbed to death in their home here in Los Angeles. They lived in the Wood community. This is an upscale community here in LA. And according to LAPD, firefighters were initially called to that home around 3:30 this afternoon from a call of an apparent homicide. 2 people, a man and a woman, were found dead in the home, a 78-year-old and 68-year-old man and woman. Now, LAPD has not confirmed those identities, but NBC News does have a source confirming that it is Rob Reiner and his wife, who have been together for some 36 years. They have 3 children together. And again, Rob Reiner is just an iconic figure here in Hollywood, known from the 1970s for his big role as Meathead in All in the Family. Then, of course, is the director of When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride, This is Spinal Tap. In fact, I just interviewed him a couple months ago here in LA for This is Spinal Tap 2. He was out promoting that movie most recently. And of course, He's also known as a political activist. Just extraordinarily tragic news here tonight. There is a large police presence outside the home right now, and we are awaiting an update from LAPD. We're expecting that they'll give a press conference in about 10 minutes or so, Jessica.
Liz, what are you hearing about why police were originally called to that residence in the first place?
At this time, we have very little information. They were called to the home from apparently a homicide. Of course, when they arrived, they did find those two people deceased. They have not said anything at this time about a suspect. We do know that Rob Reiner has 3 children, adult children, but we do not know what the motive here is as the situation is. It's all really unfolding at this time.
Liz, I know that you have a lot of sources, a lot of friends in the celebrity world out there, in the Hollywood world. I mean, when you look at some of these movies that he had such a hand in, When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride, Stand By Me, as you said, he has left a legendary impact on Hollywood and beyond. What are you hearing from those close to him and in the industry tonight about this death?
I think this is still so raw and so new that we are not even yet seeing the outpouring of comments and condolences that are about to come flooding in. And we are talking about somebody, we're showing Meg Ryan here, who has been responsible for some of the most quotable, iconic scenes in film history. I was saying to someone earlier, you know, just when I was interviewing Rob Reiner a couple months ago, he was talking about how his own mother was the woman in When Harry Met Sally who says, "I'll have what she's having." He has left an indelible mark on film history. This is extraordinarily stunning news. And again, I hope to learn more about all of, you know, what the motive may have been, why this may have happened at that press conference, Jessica.
All right, Liz, stand by. Let's now bring in former ATF Special Agent in Charge, Jim Kavanaugh. Jim is also an NBC News law enforcement analyst. Jim, thanks for joining us tonight. What are you hearing about this investigation, and specifically why police and the LA Fire Department were called to that mansion in the first place?
Well, it seems like they had a very violent death there. 2 people stabbed to death is what's been confirmed by NBC. And you know, stabbings are very violent, bloody encounters. Maybe someone found them. Maybe they survived and were able to dial 911, because all news reports are that the paramedics arrived almost an hour before the police. They got there first. So they're responding to some type of emergency. And they could have been found or called themselves. And I say it would be a very violent, bloody affair. That's the way stabbings are. There's a lot of twists and turns that could happen here. I mean, it could be an unknown assailant or assailants. It could be someone known to them domestically. Homicide will have to, rule out that it wasn't between them, although there's no indication of that. But they always have to look at that. But the LAPD robbery homicide division is very, very good. I've worked with them before. They're very proficient. They will already have a strong lead on this, Jessica. They already know the direction that it's going to go. That doesn't mean they know who did it necessarily, but they already have a direction. They've been able to crime. There's a lot of evidence in these scenes. You know, there's bloody footprints. There's blood on the assailant. It's very hard to commit a crime like this and not transfer a lot of evidence between whoever's responsible and the victim. So I'm sure they're panning out across LA now if they have any leads at all on the suspect.
So when you have such a large home in a community like Brentwood, tell me specifically how hard it is to sort of shore off that crime scene. And does the investigation change when it is a person of Rob Reiner's stature and celebrity?
Yes, it's really easier in a facility like that or a home that large, because it's easy to wall it off. It's easy just to make the home secure. You have a large area. And in a stabbing crime, you know, it's probably inside. So they'll be able to deal with that crime. Now, some of it can spill out into the porch or the courtyard, of course, but they still mostly have control of that. It's not like it's on a city street, on a bustling downtown area. So it's better for them to control it. And yes, you're right. Some of a famous person, celebrity like Mr. Reiner and his wife were. I mean, all kinds of people are curious and aghast at it and sorrowful, and there'll be all kinds of people involved. And that works both ways for the detectives. Helps them lead information because everybody wants to help them solve it, but it also brings in a lot of information that they have to manage all the time. And where you have a high-profile case, just like we watched it in Brown a few minutes ago, a lot of things change, and the detectives have to do it.
When we look at the nature of this apparent homicide, like you said, violent, bloody, stabbing, does that give you any insight or clues as to the relationship that the couple may have had to the suspect?
Well, it's hard to totally surmise that because, an assailant can carry a knife and, think they're breaking into the home and then be, approached by the homeowner and then the assault can occur. Or it could be, it could be someone they let into the home. The doorbell rings, they know the person, they let them in, and maybe there's a dispute. It can be family, it can be business, it can be neighbors, it could be anybody they might have had contact with. So it doesn't mean they don't know the killer or killers, or it could be that it's a complete stranger home invasion, which happens every day in America. So when you're in a wealthy enclave of Brentwood, sometimes those are targeted by people. So we really can't tell yet, what those possibilities are. And homicide, once they walk around a crime scene, they're so practiced and they're so trained, they're so experienced, they can read that scene very fast and be able to make some big, major lead categories that they need to follow. And they'll be able to do that very quickly. There'll be, like I say, there'll be blood trails, there'll be blood in there. Is the knife or axe, whatever the sharp instrument was there? Is it still there? Is it missing? There's a lot of things for them to see and help them determine what exactly happened.
All right, Jim, stand by, please. Let me now bring in former Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best. Carmen, good to have you with us tonight. For the police chief in LA or any of the detectives on scene, what are you trying to read from that scene the moment you arrive?
Yeah, well, as Jim mentioned, there are going to be a high number of possibilities of what could have happened there in terms of whether this was a home invasion robbery or some other type of close family member or neighbor or what happened. So initially, we just want to try to get the assessment of what we have down the scene, inner perimeter, as well as the outer perimeter, make sure that we have all entrances and exits cordoned off, that we are taking pictures of everything that's at the scene. It's too early to speculate on anything. Right now, they're just gathering evidence, gathering any video or footage or phone calls or other information that might lead them to down a trail of figuring out what might have happened here. It's very unlikely that this is a mutual thing. It could be a suicide situation. Highly unlikely considering that it was a stabbing, but they'll have to look at that piece of evidence as well to see what was going on there. So they're just going to try to gather as much information as possible and lock down the scene and not have anybody contaminate the scene, either neighbors or others.
Carmen, if you're at that scene or you're in that neighborhood, who are you immediately trying to interview in order to try to glean more about what happened?
It sounds like somebody made that call to 911 initially, so we definitely want to find out who that was, just to start backtracking there, who saw them last, who talked to them last, who had any information on their cameras, at their facilities, any other camera might be available. If somebody broke into the house, is there any evidence of that? Were they let in? Is there a vehicle that was used? Seen? Obviously, if that was the case, as Jim mentioned, there would be a lot of evidence, blood evidence and that type of thing. So they would track that down as immediately as possible as well. So those are the things you want to be looking at right away.
And Carmen, same question I had for Jim. When you're dealing with victims of this stature, of this celebrity status, does it change how you go about your investigation? Does it complicate things?
Yeah, well, every death is an important investigation, and status is not going to change that. It change, of course, the amount of information coming in. It can work, as Jim mentioned, both ways. Certainly, you want to get as much information as possible. There will be a lot of people who are going to be providing information. Also, there'll be a lot of people getting in the way of the detectives trying to do their work because they want to be helpful. So, obviously, they're going to take in as much information as possible. When somebody high profile, there'll be a lot of information out there, a lot of people who are interested. And so that can be both, helpful, and in some cases a little bit of a hindrance, but you want to have more rather than less to start on.
For sure. Jim, I want to now bring you back into the conversation. We are expecting a news conference to come out of Brentwood with LAPD within the next 10, 20 minutes. What do you expect? What do you hope that we will hear from this investigation, from this news conference, rather?
Well, it's so preliminary. I mean, this happened just this afternoon. It's possible, it's possible that they could have a suspect not in custody and they already know who it is. I mean, that would be lightning fast, but it's possible. And they could identify a person, whether a stranger or someone known to the Reiners, and, tell us he's in custody or she or they. And so we'll see how fast that moves. But it's pretty fast right now. If somebody did this attack on the Reiners and got away, unless they have security cameras that's showing them the event, they're going to have to piece it together.
All right, Jim, we're about to go to okay, sorry, Jim, we've got a lot of moving parts, so just forgive me as we figure out what's going on here. I missed the last piece of what you said. Certainly, we don't expect that a suspect has been caught yet. Do you think that we will learn more about the nature of the actual killing, whether there's a weapon that's been found, and how long do you think that area will be closed off for?
Well, it'll be closed off all day tomorrow, I'm sure, at least, the very least, for forensic processing. They may not tell us exactly if they have a weapon or not. They may tell us the cause of death, stab wounds, and they tell us the manner of death if they are sure it's a homicide. So they could tell us, in broad strokes, the cause and manner, but they're not exactly if they have a weapon in custody. There's something they're going to want to know that only the police and the killer knows. They don't want to piece every little thing. They're going to want to be in broader strokes. Like I say, it's possible they could have a lot of information ready, and they could be releasing some very significant information and asking for the public's help. When you get into the big cases and you get all this information, this is what happens. I mean, just like Brown University, a suspect tip comes in, somebody says, this guy, that, and you've got to go out there and interview the person, talk to them, find out if they're the person or not. And a lot of times they're not the person. And, that is pretty routine in a big case with a lot of publicity. And it's not unusual at all. So I've had it in many, many large investigations where thousands of leads come in, where we get tips on people. Detectives and agents pound my desk at the command desk, swearing this is the guy. And I said, well, let's go find out. Let's investigate. Let's see where he was when the killing happened. Who is he? Let's match the forensics. Is it really his gun that shot the people or not? Let's find out and let's prove it's either him or not. And I think what we saw on the ground was they know it's not him. And they proved it to themselves forensically. And so, he doesn't need exoneration. He's already exonerated because we're all innocent unless we're charged with something. So he's exonerated. They know it's not him. It was just a lead. That's all. And what we're going to see in LA, we're going to get some broad stroke information from the police tonight. I'm sure we'll have the chief out there and, the homicide commander. And we'll get some direct talk from them, I'm sure.
We're being told specifically that the robbery homicide division responded to that home. Does that tell you anything, or is that typical in an investigation like this? No,
LAPD has an elite unit, the robbery homicide division. I've worked with them before, and they're very, very thorough, very polished, very good team of detectives, and that's just their title in LA. In other cities, it's homicide is split from robbery, and but in LA, it's the robbery homicide division. So no, that's not really telling us anything about the motive. That's just a team of detectives that would come on this kind of violent offense, major violent offense.
All right, Jim, stay right there. It looks like this press conference in LA is about to begin. Let's listen in live.
I'm gonna wait for the beeping to stop, then we'll get going. Thank you, guys.
Again, we are awaiting a press conference in Brentwood, California right now after news that film director Rob Reiner and his wife have been found dead inside their home in an apparent murder, an apparent stabbing. That's according to sources close to NBC News. Let's listen into the latest.
I'm the chief of detectives for the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm going to have a brief statement, and then we're going to address any questions that we can. I understand there are going to be questions regarding what occurred here tonight. I will not be able to provide information in a lot of areas that questions may be getting asked, but I'll do the best I can. So at approximately 3:40 this afternoon, Los Angeles police officers, along with the Los Angeles City Fire Department, responded to the 200 block of Chadbourne Avenue here in the city of Brentwood. Upon arrival, they determined that there were 2 deceased individuals inside of the residence. The Los Angeles Police Department is now conducting an investigation at this residence here on Chadbourne, and that investigation will continue over the coming days. We will not be releasing any information regarding who was found deceased in the residence, because that will be done by the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. So if there are any inquiries regarding the identity of the individuals that are deceased inside of the residence, that information will come from the LA County Coroner's Office. The current death investigation that is being conducted by the Los Angeles Police Department is going to be handled by the Homicide Special Section of Robbery Homicide Division of the Los Angeles Police Department. That investigation will move forward through the night, and tomorrow morning we will probably have additional information regarding what occurred here on Chadbourne and our investigation moving forward. We will not be releasing any further information regarding the investigation that has occurred in Brentwood tonight. Our detectives will be responding along with our Forensic Science Division and our Technical Investigation Division investigators to conduct a full crime scene investigation and determine the appropriateness of the investigation moving forward. At this time, the Los Angeles Police Department is not seeking anyone as a suspect or as a person of interest or in any other manner. And we're not doing that until we conduct our investigation and we move forward. That's all I have right now at this early preliminary stage of this investigation. If you have questions that I can answer, I will answer them. I would just ask you, please, if we do not have the ability to answer the questions, that you remain patient over the coming hours and over the coming days. Starting tomorrow morning, we will be responding and providing additional information as it becomes publicly available.
Who actually made the call that brought fire department and police officers here? Has that person known? Can you release who it was?
So we understand that the person reporting was here at the location. We're not going to release any information regarding the identity of that individual at this time. Hold on. One at a time, please.
That a family member is being interviewed in connection to these deaths. Can you confirm that? And is that family member being cooperative?
There are going to be many family members interviewed. I'm not going to confirm whether someone's being interviewed at this time or not. We're going to try and speak to every family member that we can to get to the facts of this investigation.
Why are you not looking for a suspect?
I'm sorry.
Chief, why are you not exactly looking for a suspect? Are you confident you know who did this?
We have not identified a suspect at this time.
Well, then shouldn't you be looking for one so these neighbors aren't worried about their own lives and their own safety?
Yeah, so at this time, after we determine, I need everyone to understand something. In order to comply with the legal process, before we do anything here, we have to get a search warrant because there are issues regarding.
Good evening. I'm Jessica Layton in New York, and this is an NBC News special report. There is shocking news out of Hollywood tonight. Famed film director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, have been found stabbed to death in their home in Brentwood, California. A press conference is ongoing, but first, let's get to Liz Kreutz, who is following the very latest. Liz, what can you tell us about this tragedy?
Yeah, Jessica, this is just stunning news tonight. A source close to Rob Reiner has confirmed that the legendary actor and director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, have been stabbed to death in their home here in Los Angeles. Their home is in Brentwood, California, an upscale neighborhood here in the city. According to law enforcement, the call came in around 3:30 this afternoon. The homicide investigative team responded, and police have said that 2 people were found deceased inside this home, a 78-year-old and a 68-year-old, a man and a woman. And again, a source close to Rob Reiner has confirmed the identities as the legendary director and his wife, who have been married since 1989. They share 3 children. Rob Reiner also has another daughter from his previous marriage to Penny Marshall. And this is just, as we're getting this news, sending absolute shockwaves through Hollywood. Rob Reiner is just an iconic filmmaker, responsible for some of the most legendary film scenes of our time. When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride, This Is Spinal Tap. Of course, he made his name originally in the 1970s as Head in All in the Family. We are having a press conference right now from the LAPD is what's ongoing, and they have not confirmed the identity of Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner. They have not identified a suspect, and right now they have not said anything about a motive here either, Jessica.
Liz, what sources are telling us is that it was an apparent stabbing that killed the couple in their LA mansion, their Brentwood mansion, rather. I know that you recently interviewed him. Tell me about that conversation and what you recall from speaking with Rob Reiner just a short time ago.
Yeah, I interviewed him at the end of September as he was promoting his most recent film, This Is Spinal Tap 2, the sequel to his famous mockumentary, This Is Spinal Tap from the 1980s. And it was with him and Christopher Guest and the other actors who were made so famous from that movie, and they reunited. And this was actually the only sequel that Rob Reiner has ever made. And it took him several decades to finally decide to make this sequel. And you could just see how beloved he is as he was surrounded by his fellow actors that he has worked alongside for decades. This is somebody who is extraordinarily well regarded. Has worked with every, Jamie Lee Curtis, Christopher Guest, Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan. We do have a statement that's just come in, Jessica, from the mayor of Los Angeles here. She's saying this is a devastating loss for our city and our country, that Rob Reiner's contributions reverberate throughout American culture and society, that he has improved countless lives through his creative work. And also, she goes on to talk about the work he's done in the political space, fighting for social and economic justice. Here in LA, she talks about some of the initiatives that he spearheaded. He was particularly influential in the LGBTQ movement to legalize gay marriage here in California and overturn Proposition 8. And she goes on to say, I want to thank all of the first responders who were called to this tragic event. The investigation is ongoing tonight, Jessica.
As you mentioned, he leaves such a huge imprint on Hollywood and beyond, and also all of the work he did as a political activist. I know you just read that statement. I'm wondering if you're hearing anything else from friends of his or other celebrities in Hollywood tonight, although I imagine that the news is just starting to sink in.
Yeah, I've been checking the social media accounts for some of those we know he's closest with, also his adult children as well. We haven't seen any of those posts at this time. Again, I think that this shocking development. It's also the first night of Hanukkah. Rob Reiner is Jewish. He would maybe perhaps be celebrating his family tonight. And we don't know who the suspect is. Police have not identified anybody at this time. We don't know if this was somebody who knew the Reiners or somebody outside. We know that they live in a large mansion with high hedges and what looks like to be a big gate and security around this home. But a lot of questions still tonight as this investigation unfolds.
In fact, Liz, one of the questions at that press conference before we came to you was a reporter asking police, are you speaking to a family member? So, Liz, please stay close. We have other breaking news that we want to get to right now. Authorities in Providence, Rhode Island are saying that they have released the person of interest in that deadly shooting at Brown University yesterday. The man has not been charged. You will recall 2 students were killed and 9 injured. The suspect at this hour still on loose. So let's go straight to our national law enforcement correspondent, Tom Winter. Tom, this is a shocking development for all of Rhode Island and especially the families of those victims. What happened in the 16, 17 hours that they had this person of interest in custody that made police say, actually, this isn't it?
Right. So this investigation started approximately after 4:22 on Saturday when shots were initially fired at Brown University's campus. And just before 6 a.m. this morning, there was an individual who was in custody, described by police as a person of interest. This individual had apparently, according to our reporting, there was kind of a unique component or part of the gun. The witnesses described, and when law enforcement entered this person's hotel room at the Hampton Inn in Coventry, Rhode Island, approximately 40 minutes southwest of Providence, that they were able to see a similar type of weapon. There were also some information about some other evidence that they were able to uncover. The Providence officials and Rhode Island officials describing it as a quantum of evidence that led them to this individual. But tonight, there is apparently not enough to put state charges on this person, and as a result, they are going to be scheduled to be released from police custody at some point here in the near future. So that's what we know so far. What we don't know is what evidence was developed over the course of the day and the afternoon, and clearly there have been developments because just 6 or 7 hours ago, police said that there would be no further briefings tonight, and then within the last couple hours, that radically changed, and they called a press conference for 10:30 p.m., started 11, and delivered the news that this person was going to be released. The Attorney General, Peter Naromer, U.S. Attorney for Rhode Island, somebody who's been in law enforcement for a long time in that state, just said, look, at this point, they don't have the evidence that they need, that there might be something that points them in a different direction. They're going to continue to work their case. They have executed a number of search warrants and are waiting to get some of that information back, and said that some of the information that they're trying to get or testing that could be done is still underway. So at this hour, the headline is clearly that a person of interest who police had said just within the last 8 or 9 hours, they were not looking for anybody else.
Diane, I think I heard you go to me there. Yeah, I'm back now.
Court TV Live. Want to take you to Hollywood now. We're continue following that breaking news. The son, famed director Rob Reiner, and his wife Michelle is now under arrest. It is official. Nick Reiner is being held on $4 million bond. The Reiner family confirming the deaths of Rob and Michelle through statements. And now we have confirmed that Nick Reiner has been arrested and is being held on $4 million. He is suspected of the deaths of his parents, of stabbing them to death. This is aerial footage. I'm looking at this just coming in to our newsroom. Area footage of the Reiner estate, beautiful home that shared in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles. You can see the lights up around the home. Have our team en route as we're speaking to Los Angeles to provide you with reporting throughout the day on the ground. Reiner, 78 years old, his wife Michelle, a producer and videographer, 68 years old, and their son Nick is being held on $4 million bail, arrested in this double homicide. Police say they were stabbed to death in their home and found on Sunday afternoon around 3:30 Pacific time is when the call came in to first responders, finding this beloved Hollywood couple deceased in their home, killed at the hands of someone else. Was it their son? That is the question. He certainly has raised the suspicions of police, and they obviously have enough probable cause to make his arrest. Let's bring in our law enforcement analyst, Sonny Slaughter. Sonny, you've been with us through the hour. We've seen the progression. We were getting word that he was being questioned. Then we were hearing the word custody thrown around. Now it is official, arrested, and bail has been set. The accusation here being that he took the lives of his own mother and father. Sonny, your reaction, please.
Well, Julie, it's breathtaking that this is now confirmed that he is not in custody. He is currently under arrest. That the bail amount is $4 million. I want to say how painful this is as a parent and as a person just watching from the outside, but understanding these experiences. I also want to remind the public that oftentimes when we have children, as individuals and those that help, community help raise, who have troubles, mental health and drug abuse and criminal activity, oftentimes parents can be shamed if they do not react in the way others want them to. People think that because they are your children, that you should just kind of stay the course. And that may have been what happened, that they were trying to stay the course as parents. But we often talk about in domestic violence situations that we have to retreat as victims to gain safety, but we don't think about that in the same way when we talk about parent and child relationships, where those relationships are unsafe and they are unhealthy. This is a tragedy for the family. This is a tragedy for the friends. This is a reminder for the community and for the public that some relationships are unhealthy. And as a parent, I know personally, sometimes you cannot be the one to save your own child.
Sonny, you said that so well. It's a sad reality. Drug addiction, alcohol addiction, it plagues our country. And there is reporting, as I noted before, I want to note it again, coming from Perez Hilton, his source reporting that Nick Reiner had struggled for many years with substance abuse problems and homelessness as a result of those addiction problems. And as we're talking, Sonny, I have some information that not only has he been arrested, but he has already been lodged in Los Angeles County Jail. We're looking at the Sheriff's Department's Inmate Information Center. Appears that at 7 o'clock Pacific time. So this was just a short time ago. It's 10 here in the East that he was lodged. And so they've got a booking number for him already. He's 32 years old. This photo of him with his dad that we've been sharing for you. What I'm seeing on the Sheriff's Department's information sheet is that the arrest technically happened yesterday on the 14th. And that he was booked on the 15th. So it could happen. My guess is that in the wee hours, of the night, the change happened in the booking because we know it was in the afternoon that the call came in. So he was picked up at some point on Sunday and then lodged this morning, right around 7 o'clock is when I see this information hitting the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Inmate Information Center. They don't have the specific charges, but what we can glean from the facts we know, investigators, are investigating this as a double homicide. We know this is a felony that he's lodged on. We know the LAPD's gang unit is investigating this. Not saying that he's part of a gang, not saying that. I'm just saying that's who was called out to work this case.
From creating memories to finding the perfect gift, Steel can help make the holidays easy.
And we're waiting to get the specifics on the charges. This is just as bad as it gets. Sonny, also so close to the holidays, this happening. I mean, this is any time of year. Nobody wants this to happen. Yet also this time of year, when we're extra sentimental, you see the holiday lights around the house as well. It's chilling, isn't it, my friend?
It really, really is. It's heartbreaking because anytime around the holidays when there's a death, when there's a murder, it is a constant reminder every single year. But I also wanted to go back to what you said about the gang unit. That would make sense. I'm the former co-chair of the National Oversight Caucus under Health and Human Services. And the gang unit, because if he was involved in potential drug use and abuse and homelessness, that might be the unit that would have the most information about where, if all of this information is true, and I want to be clear about that, where he got his drugs from, what he was involved in, but it doesn't mean that he was necessarily involved in a gang. But it does have the similar threads of the investigative processes for looking, apprehension, potential drug use, abuse, and known associates or anything like that. Because remember, he was connected to a financed family, and if he owed someone money, there's a lot of threads that we'll have to pull. But I do have to commend law enforcement for holding this case close to the vest, for doing what they needed to do from an investigative standpoint, and for finding him, doing what they needed as far as keeping information quiet, close, and then following a process that has less taint from the public about, whether this is the individual, whether he was questioned properly. All of those things will roll out later, but I do commend them for what they have done in executing the arrest, the seizure, and moving this homicide investigation forward.
Yes, Sonny, yes, they've acted quickly, and thank goodness, because if Nick Reiner did this, if he killed his mom and his dad, then you can never know where he would have gone next or what he would have done next. As you know, if he was on a path of destruction, this could have been deadly for other people. And so, as you said, thank goodness law enforcement acted as quickly as they did, getting to the person they believe is responsible for these killings. Sonny, we thank you for the insights. Again, our team en route there, we're going to have live updates for you throughout the day as soon as they are on the ground. We'll keep you posted as any more information comes in. But Nick Reiner behind bars on $4 million bond. As we head to break, of course, we're sending our good thoughts and prayers to the Reiner family. Rob Reiner, beloved I want to take you to Hollywood now. We're continue following that breaking news. The son of famed director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle is now under arrest. It is official. Nick Reiner is being held on $4 million bond. The Reiner family confirming the deaths of Rob and Michelle through statements. And now we have confirmed that Nick Reiner has been arrested and is being held on $4 million. He is suspected of the deaths of his parents, of stabbing them to death. This is aerial footage. Looking at this as you are, this just coming in to our newsroom, area footage of the Reiner estate, beautiful home that they shared in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles. You can see the lights up around the home. We have our team en route as we're speaking to Los Angeles to provide you with reporting throughout the day on the ground. Rob Reiner, 78 years old, his wife Michelle, a producer and videographer, 68 years old, and their son Nick is being held on $4 million bail, arrested in this double homicide. Police say they were stabbed to death in their home and found on Sunday afternoon around 3:30 Pacific time is when the call came to first responders. Finding this beloved Hollywood couple deceased in their home, killed at the hands of someone else. Was it their son? That is the question. He certainly has raised the suspicions of police, and they obviously have enough probable cause to make his arrest. Let's bring in our law enforcement analyst, Sunny Slaughter. Sunny, with us through the hour. We've seen the progression. We were getting word that he was being questioned. Then we were hearing the word custody thrown around. Now it is arrested and bail has been set. The accusation here being that he took the life of his mother and father. Sunny, your reaction, please.
Oh, Julie, it's taking that this is now confirmed that he is not in custody. He is currently under arrest, and that the bail amount is $4 million. I want to say how painful this is as a parent, as a person just watching from the outside, but understanding these experiences. I also want to remind the public that oftentimes when we have children, as individuals and those that help, the community help raise, who have troubles, mental health and drug abuse and criminal activity, oftentimes parents can be shamed if they do not react in a way that others want them to. People think that because they are your children, that you should just kind of stay the course. And that may have been what happened, that they were trying to stay the course as parents. But we often talk about domestic violence situations that we have to retreat as victims to gain safety. But we don't think about that in the same way when we talk about parent and child relationships, where those relationships are unsafe and they are unhealthy. This is a tragedy for the family. This is a tragedy for the friends. This is a reminder for the community and for the public. Some relationships are unhealthy, and as a parent, I know personally, sometimes you cannot be the one to save your own child.
Sunny, you said that so well. It's a sad reality. Drug addiction, alcohol addiction, it plagues our country. And there is reporting, as I noted before, I want to note it again, coming from Perez Hilton in his source reporting that Nick Reiner had struggled for many years with substance abuse problems and homelessness as a result of those addiction problems. And as we're talking, Sunny, I have some information that not only has he been arrested, but he has already been lodged in the Los Angeles County Jail. We're looking at the Sheriff's Department's Inmate Information Center, and it appears that at 7 o'clock Pacific time, so this is just a short time ago, it's 10:30 here in the East, that he was lodged. And so they've got a booking number for him already. He's 32 years old. This is a photo of him with his dad that we've been sharing for you. And what I'm seeing on the Sheriff's Department's information sheet is that the arrest technically happened yesterday on the 14th, and that he was booked on the 15th. So it could happen. My guess is that in the wee hours of the night, the change happened in the booking because we know it was in the afternoon that the call came in. So he was picked up at some point on Sunday and then lodged this morning. Right around 7 o'clock is when I see this information hitting the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Inmate Information Center. They don't have the specific charges, but what we can glean from the facts we know, investigators, are investigating this as a double homicide. We know this is a felony that he's lodged on. We know the LAPD's gang unit is investigating this. Not saying that he's part of a gang, not saying that. I'm just saying that's who was called out work this case. And we're waiting to get the specifics on charges, and this is just as bad as it gets. Sonny, also so close to the holidays. This happening. I mean, this is a tragedy any time of year. Nobody wants this to happen. Yet also this time of year when we're extra sentimental, you see the holiday lights around the house as well. It's chilling, isn't it, my friend?
It really, really is. It's heartbreaking because anytime around the holidays when there's a death, when there's a murder, it's a constant reminder every single year. But I also wanted to go back to what you said about the gang unit. That would make sense. I'm the former co-chair of the National Opioid Caucus under Health and Human Services. And the gang unit, because if he was involved in potential drug and abuse and the homelessness, that might be the unit that would have the most information about where, if all of this information is true, and I want to be clear about that, where he got his drugs from, what he was involved in, but it doesn't mean that he was necessarily involved in a gang, but it does have the similar threads of the investigative processes for looking at prevention, potential drug use, abuse, and known associates or anything like that. Because remember, he was connected to a well financed family, and if he owed someone money, there's a lot of threads that we'll have to pull. But I do have to commend law enforcement for holding this case close to the vest, for doing what they needed to do and from an investigative standpoint, and for finding him, doing what they needed as far as keeping information quiet, close, and then following a process that has less taint from the public about, whether this is the individual, whether he was questioned properly. All of those things will roll out later, but I do commend them for what they have done in executing the arrest, the seizure, and moving this homicide investigation forward.
Yes, Sonny, yes, they've acted quickly, and thank goodness. If Nick Reiner did this, if he killed his mom and his dad, then you can never know where he would have gone next or what he would have done next. As you know, if he was on a path of destruction, this could have been deadly for other people. And so, as you thank good law enforcement acted as quickly as they did, getting to the person they believe is responsible for these killings. Sonny, we thank you for the insights. Again, our team en route there, we're going to have live updates for you throughout the day as soon as they're on the ground. We'll keep posted as any more information is in. But Nick Reiner behind bars on $4 million bond. As we head to break, of course, we're sending our good thoughts and prayers to the Reiner family.
Rob Reiner's son, Nick Reiner, is now in custody after Rob Reiner and his wife were found dead from apparent homicides at their home in Los Angeles yesterday. Let's bring in CBS News coordinating producer for crime and public safety, Anna Schechter. Anna, this had been sort of out there for quite some time, but what are we learning now that we can confirm?
Well, we've just confirmed that their son, Nick Reiner, was arrested on Sunday.
So yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday, last night, he was booked today. He's being held on $4 million a bond, and there are no charges listed in the Los Angeles County records that we've reviewed. So we are awaiting those charges, information on those charges, and the next steps. Will he be arraigned today or tomorrow? Will those charges be read to him? But right now, we know that Nick is in custody at this time. We can also report he's one of the 3 children. They had 2 sons and a daughter. He had spoken publicly about his substance abuse issues in the past. He talked about having been homeless, living on the streets. He and his father actually worked together on a film based on that experience years ago.
Being Charlie.
Exactly, exactly. And so this is just such a tragic turn of events. And yes, we were hearing, even late last night, we were kind of hearing reports that it was a family member, that it was one of his sons, potentially Nick, and now we have that confirmed.
And what's incredibly disturbing to me is the time. I mean, it happened in the middle of the day, right? Like, that's what they think, around 3, or is that when they first discovered?
They discovered the couple they were already dead, and that they had been dead for some period of time. We do not have a time of death. Now, the medical examiner was there for hours, so let's wait and see what the medical examiner says. Usually a medical examiner will give an estimated time of death, so we don't know exactly when the alleged murder happened, but we know they were found yesterday afternoon, just a afternoon time, not all night or anything. There have been reports that she actually was the one who found them, so we're drilling down on that. But what a tragedy for this family. And, just recently, a couple months ago, Leslie Stahl sat down with him for 60 minutes for an interview. It's just unbelievable.
What's incredibly striking to me is not just in the Rob Reiner brought so much joy to millions of people. He was such a prolific artist, and his films, as we've talked about, range in genre from comedies, obviously, love stories, horror films. When Misery, people forget that he did Misery, A Few Good Men, The American President, which was a movie that for me gave me a little bit of an insight into life as a president of the United States could be. Michael Douglas.
Such a range.
Such a range.
And excellence within that range.
And to then to meet your end in such a violent way, and now with the suspect being the child that you taught how to ride a bike, and that you once gave a baby bottle to, it is incredibly sad. And also we're in day 1 of Hanukkah. Rob Reiner and his family were towering figures in the Jewish community in Los Angeles.
They were probably getting ready to celebrate
100%
the first night of Hanukkah.
That's right. There's a Truth Social post by the President of the United States. I want to post it. I want to show it to our viewers here. And the president said, quote, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy stars, passed away together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome." First of all, Rob Reiner was not struggling. I'll just say that. I'll fact check that right now. The movies that he helmed, even just recently, it's what's crazy to me is I just watched Spinal Tap 2, like the reboot of Spinal Tap this weekend. And also, coincidentally, this weekend I had sent a friend of mine a clip from All in the Family of one of my favorite scenes from All in the Family with Rob Reiner as Mike Stivic, Meathead, affectionately called by Artie.
He was also an activist, right? And
yes, and that's what I think the president is railing at.
Yeah, he was a of Donald Trump, and he was an activist for liberal causes. And so there you have.
Except that the police have not indicated at all if this murder, as the president seems to suggest in his post, is in any way tied to that activism.
Right, right, absolutely. I mean, this, if his son's in custody, and what we know is his son has struggled for a long time with substance abuse issues, and that's where we stand with that. Again, the next steps will be potentially an arraignment hearing where charges will be read to Nick Reiner. He'll be asked if he understands the charges. He'll respond. We probably won't get a plea right away. We might, but that system will start to kick into effect and it will unfold over the coming days.
Yeah. All right. Anna, thank you very much as always. Appreciate you.
Breaking news out of Brentwood, California, where filmmaker Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were found dead yesterday in their home. The couple's family confirmed the tragic news late last night, saying, quote, "We are heartbroken by this sudden loss." An investigation into the deaths is early and ongoing. Los Angeles police say they are investigating an apparent homicide. Authorities also say they are not seeking anyone as a suspect or a person of interest at this time. Rob Reiner began his prolific career in front of the camera, starring, of course, as Meathead in Archie Bunker's son-in-law on the 1970 sitcom All in the Family, earning 2 Emmy Awards for his work on that breaking show. Reiner then made his directorial debut with the 1984 mockumentary and cult classic This Is Sparta. And then, 41 years after the original, the band got back together for a long-awaited sequel. This past September, Joe spoke with Reiner and the cast of Spinal Tap 2, who all appeared in character to review their follow-up film.
I'm wondering, Nigel, do you sense that Marty may have been channeling another Marty? There's a bit of a Scorsese feel to this documentary. Did you pick that up when you saw it?
No, first of all, we haven't seen the new one yet.
They haven't
allowed us. We've been forbidden to see the latest film.
You're not forbidden. I just wanted you to see it tomorrow night.
You said forbidden. Well, you said verboten. Yeah. Anyway, no, I don't think he's channeling anything. I don't think he's channeling those other people you mentioned. No, he's his own man. And yet, he disappoints a lot of people anyway.
And move forward with Purdue Global at purdueglobal.edu.
Excited about the Subaru Share the Love event because Subaru retailers nationwide are giving back.
Giving back makes us who we are. It's our chance to make a difference together.
It's 0% APR on select new Subaru models, and Subaru will share the love.
Reiner's other work included iconic films like Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, and A Few Good Men, which was nominated for Best Picture. Reiner also a force in democratic politics, fighting for causes like marriage equality and early childhood programs. His wife, Michelle, also made her own mark on Hollywood. She was a producer, actor, and photographer. The two met on the set of the classic film When Harry Met Sally. And Reiner has said that she inspired him to change the ending of the beloved romantic comedy to a more hopeful one. And Rufus, as you sat down, you were reminiscing. I mean, you got your start in California Democratic politics. Rob Reiner, a force out there, a major player. We got to know him a little bit because he's a frequent guest on our show. So just give us some of your thoughts here about the remarkable life he lived.
Oh, Jonathan, it's such a heartbreaking weekend all around.
Just terrible.
And I'll just tell one story about I think it was the first time I ever met Rob, and it was 2004. I had left my job in the entertainment industry to go work I think I was just a very young paid staffer on Kerry's presidential campaign in 2004, and we were gathering a little group of creative types to come up with ideas for the campaign. And I was the new guy. I was the kid, and I saw Rob Reiner, who was iconic, and I was in my head going through lines from A Few Good Men or The American President, and he said, "Who are you? Who's the kid?" And I nervously said, "I'm the guy who I just left my job in the entertainment industry and am devoting my life to politics." And he said, "Good move. A much more promising career." And that's just who he was. He's just he was a good man. And I think in this day, I don't know if you've talked at all this morning about his response to Charlie Kirk's murder. And the truth is that that's what his heart was. Yes, he was left-leaning. He was a Democrat. He was very passionate about the same causes that I am passionate about. But he also wanted a better and more civil world. And so the world is just such a sad day today.
It really is. And your story actually takes us, we want to get your thoughts on this next story, which is also still developing. We're learning new details about the deadliest shooting in Australia in nearly 30 years, targeting the Jewish community. 50 people are dead, including a child, and more than 40 others injured after two gunmen opened fire during a Hanukkah celebration on Sydney's famed Bondi Beach late yesterday. Officials are calling it a terrorist attack.
This was deliberately targeted at the Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah, which of course should be a joyous celebration, and the community are hurting today. Today, all Australians wrap our arms around them and say, "We stand with you." We will do whatever is necessary to stamp out anti-Semitism. It is a scourge, and we will eradicate it together.
Victims range in age from 10 to 87 and include a rabbi, a Holocaust survivor, an Israeli citizen, and a French citizen. As of this morning, 27 people remain hospitalized, including at least a dozen in critical condition. Police identified the two shooting suspects as a father and son, aged 50 and 24. Authorities fatally shot the 50-year-old at the scene. They say he arrived in Australia in 1998. He is on a student visa. His 24-year-old son is an Australian-born citizen and suffered critical injuries after authorities confronted him. He is currently in the hospital. Police said 24-year-old suspect was known to security services and was investigated for 6 months back in 2019, but officials say there was no prior indication of a planned attack. 6 guns were recovered from a property linked to the older shooter, and 2 improvised explosive devices were found and rendered safe. Meanwhile, this incredible video shows a bystander identified by relatives as Ahmed al-Ahmed jumping on one of the gunmen during the rampage and disarming him. He is now recovering in the hospital after suffering gunshot wounds to his shoulder and leg. And Joe, what we learned from David Road earlier is, as you can see in this video, he disarms the gunman and then holds the gun up, but then probably realizes that he doesn't want to be considered the shooter, so he puts it down, and then he ends up getting himself.
He does. It is again such a tragic event, one that doesn't usually happen often in Australia. This is the worst mass shooting there in 30 years. And, you know, we've just seen, Rufus, anti-Semitism sweep the globe, whether it comes from the far right, whether it comes from the far left, whether it comes from Islamic extremists. It's interesting to note that it appears from reports, Alex, tell me if I'm wrong, do we have the names of the shooters here? Alex?
We do. The father was Sajiv Akram, 24-year-old son Naveed Akram.
Yeah, and it appears, according to reports that Rufus, that an imam had identified the younger gunman first, and we're going to see what the motive is, whether it's Islamic extremism or not. What we should note, though, is that if it is, that obviously is a tragedy that continues, again, to be part of the story of anti-Semitism across the globe, from the right, from the left, Islamic extremists. It's also notable that it was an Arab. It appears to be an Arab man that jumped in and wrestled the gun away from.
Subscribe to at Southern Sin and hit the bell for when we go live. Thank you for watching at Southern Sin, your home for true crime. Smash the like button now.
Following the breaking news, Rob Reiner's son, Nick Reiner, is now in custody after Rob Reiner and his wife were found dead from apparent homicides at their home in Los Angeles yesterday. Let's bring in CBS News senior coordinating producer for crime and public safety, Anna Schechter. Anna, this had been sort of out there for quite some time. What are we learning now that we can confirm?
Well, we've just confirmed that their son, Nick Reiner, was arrested on Sunday.
So yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday, last night. He was booked today. He's being held on $4 million a bond, and there are no charges listed in the Los Angeles County records that we've reviewed. So we are awaiting those charges, information on those charges, and the next steps. Will he be arraigned today or tomorrow? Will those charges be read to him? Right now, we know that Nick is in custody at this time. We can also report he's one of the 3 children. They had 2 sons and a daughter. He had spoken publicly about his substance abuse issues in the past. He talked about having been homeless, living on the streets. He and his father actually worked together on a film based on that experience years ago.
Being Charlie.
Exactly, exactly. So there's just such a tragic turn of events. And yes, we were hearing even late last night, we were kind of hearing reports that it was a family, that it was one of his sons, potentially Nick, and now we have that confirmed.
And what's incredibly disturbing to me is the time. I mean, it happened in the middle of the day, right? Like that's what they think, around 3, or is that when they first discovered?
They discovered the couple they were already dead, and that they had been dead for some period of time. We do not have a time of death. Now, the medical examiner was there for hours, so let's wait and see what the medical examiner says. Usually a medical examiner will give an estimated time of death, so we don't know exactly when the alleged murder happened, but we know they were found yesterday afternoon, just a afternoon time, not like in the middle of the night or anything like that. And just tragic. Nick's sister lives across the street. There have been reports that she actually was the one who found them. So we're drilling down on that. But what a tragedy for this family. And, just recently, a couple months ago, Leslie Stahl sat down with him for 60 minutes for an interview. It's just unbelievable.
What's incredibly disturbing and striking to me is not just in Rob Reiner brought so much joy to millions of people. he was such a prolific artist, and his films, as we've talked about, range in genre from comedies, obviously, love stories, horror films. When Misery, people forget that he did Misery, A Few Good Men, The American President, which was a movie that for me, like, gave me a little bit of an insight into what life as a president of the United States could be. Michael Douglas.
Such a range.
It's such a range.
And excellence within that range.
And to then to meet your end in such a violent way, and now with the suspect being the child that you taught how to ride a bike, and that you once gave a baby bottle to, it is incredibly sad. And also, we're in day one of Hanukkah. Rob Reiner and his family were towering figures in the Jewish community in Los Angeles.
They were probably getting ready to celebrate
100%
the first night of Hanukkah.
That's right. There's a Truth Social post by the President of the United States. I want to post it. I want to show it to our viewers here. And the president says, quote, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome." First of all, Rob Reiner was not struggling. I'll just say that. I'll fact check that right now. The movies that he helmed, even just recently, what's crazy to me is I just watched Spinal Tap 2, like the reboot of Spinal Tap this weekend. And also, coincidentally, this weekend I had sent a very close friend of mine a clip from All in the Family of one of my favorite scenes from All in the Family with Rob Reiner, Mike Stivic, Meathead, affectionately called by Archie.
He was also an activist, right? And
yes, and that's what I think the president is railing at.
Yeah, he was a critic of Donald Trump, and he was an activist for liberal causes. And so there you have.
Except that the police have not indicated at all this murder, as the president seems to suggest in his post, is in any way tied to that activism.
Right. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. His son is in custody, and what we know is his son has struggled for a long time with substance abuse issues, and that's where we stand with that. Again, the next steps will be potentially an arraignment hearing where charges will be read. Nick Reiner, he'll be asked if he understands those charges. He'll respond. We probably won't get a plea right away. We might. That system will start to kick into effect, and it will unfold over the coming days.
Yeah. All right. Anna, thank you very much, as always. Appreciate you.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you joining us at our Net Investor webinar, where you can drill deeper into our 9 to 13% annual interest rate bond offerings and see how our company has become an emerging leader in the oil and gas industry. In 2024, Phoenix Energy rose to become the 11th most prolific oil and gas operator in the Williston Basin, one of America's top producing regions. We are now right alongside industry giants like ConocoPhillips and EOG, and plan to continue.
Following some breaking news, Rob Reiner's son, Nick Reiner, is now in custody after Rob Reiner and his wife were found dead from apparent homicides at their home in Los Angeles yesterday. Let's bring in CBS News senior coordinating producer for crime and public safety, Anna Schechter. Anna, this has been sort of out there for quite some time, but what are we learning now that we can confirm?
Well, we've just confirmed that their son, Nick Reiner, was arrested on Sunday.
So yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday, last night, he was booked today. He's being held on $4 million a bond, and there are no charges listed in the Los Angeles County records that we've reviewed. So we are waiting those charges, information on those charges, and the next steps. Will he be arraigned today or tomorrow? Will the charges be read to him? But right now, we know that Nick is in custody at this time. We can also he's one of the 3 children. They had 2 sons and a daughter. He had spoken publicly about his substance abuse issues in the past. He talked about having been homeless, living on the streets. He and his father actually worked together on a film based on that experience years ago.
Being Charlie.
Exactly, exactly. And so this is just such a tragic turn of events. And yes, we were hearing even late last night, we were hearing reports that it was a family member, that it was one of his sons, potentially Nick, and now we have that confirmed.
And what's incredibly disturbing to me is the time. I mean, it happened in the middle of the day, right? Like that's what they think, around 3, or is that when they first discovered?
They discovered the couple they were already dead, and that they had been dead for some period of time. They do not have a time of death. Now, the medical examiner was there for hours, so let's wait and see what the medical examiner said. Usually the medical examiner will give an estimated time of death, so we don't know exactly when the alleged murder happened, but you know, they were found yesterday afternoon, you know, just a afternoon time, not like in the middle of the night or anything like that. And just tragic. You know, Nick's sister lives across the street. There have been reports that she actually was the one who found them. So we're drilling on that. What a tragedy for this family. And just recently, a couple months ago, Leslie Stahl sat down with him for 60 minutes for an interview. It's just unbelievable.
You know, what's incredibly disturbing and striking to me is not just in the Rob Reiner brought so much joy to millions of people.
Thank you for watching at Southern Sin, your home for true crime.
And his films
Smash the like button now.
Range in genre from comedies, obviously, love stories, horror films. When Misery, people forget that he did Misery. A Few Good Men, The American President, which was a movie that, for me, like, gave me a little bit of an insight into what life as a president of the United States could be. Michael Douglas. Such a range.
And excellence within that range.
And to then to meet your end in such a violent way now, with the suspect being the child that you taught how to ride a bike, and that, you know, you once, you know, gave a baby bottle to. It is incredibly sad. And also, we're in day one of Hanukkah. Rob Reiner and his family were towering figures in the Jewish community in Los Angeles.
They were probably getting ready to celebrate
100%.
the first night of Hanukkah.
That's right. There's a Truth Social post by the President of the United States. I want to post it. I want to show it to our viewers here. And the President said, quote, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, passed away together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding and incurable affliction with a crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome." First of all, Rob Reiner was not struggling. I'll just say that. I'll fact that right now. The movies that he helmed, even just recently, it's what's crazy to me is I just watched Spinal Tap, like the reboot of Spinal Tap this weekend. And also, coincidentally, this weekend I had sent a very close friend of mine a clip from All in the Family of one of my favorite scenes from All in the Family with Rob Reiner as Mike Stivic, meathead, affectionately called by.
He was also an activist, right? And
yes, and that's what I think the president is railing at.
Yeah, he was a critic of Donald Trump, and he was an activist for liberal causes. And so there you have.
Except that the police have not indicated at all if this murder, as the president seems to suggest in his post, is in any way tied to that activism.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, his son is in custody, and what we know is his son has struggled for a long time with substance abuse issues, and that's where we stand with that. Again, the next steps will be potentially an arraignment hearing where charges will be read to Nick Reiner. He'll be asked if he understands the charges. He'll respond. We probably won't get a plea right away. We might. But that system will start to kick into effect, and it will unfold over the coming.
What was the toughest for you? What do you think, Nick? It wasn't very tough. I mean, it was pretty nice experience for me. I don't really think it was like tough at all.
Really?
I mean, of course it was a little bit, but
I mean, we did get into fights over things, but ultimately it forced us to make the film better. I mean, we get into issues, and I would see, the whole process for me, I can just speak for myself, it did make me understand him a lot more, and I think it made me a better father. Hopefully it did. I know, but I think that, and you'll see it in the film. What happens is, your kid, if your kid is going through rough times, the parent is your main job to keep your child safe. So I would do anything. I felt that a lot. I would do anything that, as we say in the film, anybody with a desk and a diploma, I would listen to them. And the whole idea of tough love, and you have to be a certain way. And it's not nature. It's not the way I am built, but I did that, and I think that, at the end of the day, I know my child better than an expert does. And I probably should have trusted my own instinct. And that's one of the things I did learn about the whole experience.
I think the bonding came not from the story itself, but from the fact that we were working on a movie together, and I could see him in I think in the form that he could express himself the best, which is making movies, because he has so much experience. And so seeing that sort of turned me around to be like, okay, I should probably...
No, sorry, I'm responding.
I should probably shut up and listen to him, because he knows a lot more about this. I don't know anything, so I'll learn whatever he has to teach me.
I just think that's such a fascinating thing to say, that like your father, who would all want to be at his best as your father, may be a type of person who's at his best when he's making movies, and that makes him more understandable or relatable as a father to you, which is so fascinating to me.
Yeah, it really clicked for me, because we didn't bond a lot as a kid. Like, he really liked baseball, I like basketball, and he watched that with my brother, but baseball. But I just, when I saw him do that, and I was like, wow, like he really knows a lot, and like it made me feel closer to him and be like, yeah.
You're like, wow, my dad's Rob Reiner.
I never had thought about it, and then
it crossed your mind, right?
Never.
No.
Never watched A Few Good Men. Didn't see that one.
No, but it's interesting that Nick would talk about it in that way, because, we did share that experience, but even though I've had a lot of experience making movies, and I said this to him many, many times, that he was the heart and soul of the film. So when it came to making film deeper and better, I would have to really defer to him. I mean, even though I have had all this experience in making films, the core of this film, I really had to look to him. I relied on him for giving it the honesty and the truth that it has.
Did you work with him on set? Were you on set for the majority of the shooting?
Mm-hmm. I was on set with him.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I don't know what I was gonna say.
No, he was there every day. I mean, we worked for a year before, helping craft the script and doing the whole shooting, and then post-production, he would come in the cutting room. I mean, we went through it together. There's no question.
I have to ask, you said it was per project that you've ever been a part of, and I think when people watch an hour and a half movie, they can sort of feel the personal aspect from the filmmakers, or that it's a personal project. But as a filmmaker, as you said, it takes a year, it takes 2 years. There are certain objective things that you have to do as a filmmaker that completely remove the personal, and most of filmmaking can be that part of the job. How do you remain personally attached to the project? How do you maintain that sort of little personal thought in your brain when there are so many decisions and so many things you have to do on a day-to-day basis in a project like this that are not personal?
Well, I mean, you do have the craft of being a filmmaker, so you do. There are certain there's certain film grammar that you're going to use to tell a story, but I could never get away from the fact that it's personal, because we're doing it together. Every time I look over, that's my son, there's my boy. And so that never goes away, no matter, whatever craft I have, it's always there.
Wow. Nick, how involved were you with the casting and everything? I mean, this kid is amazing in the film. He's an incredible lead. I've never seen him.
People know Nick Robbins.
He was given good.
Yeah, he's a really good actor. I mean, he was in that Kings this summer, and he's in Jurassic World. He's a great actor, and Nick was there for all the casting. All the auditions.
I was sitting there, but
yeah, but you always gave your opinion.
I was like, I saw that girl Morgan Saylor on Homeland, and I during the season she like went to rehab or something, and I was just like, oh, she's a perfect rehab girl.
Yeah,
that's the only.
He pushed for Morgan Saylor, crazy. Yeah.
You had a personal connection to her right away.
No, but
just felt like you.
Felt like I know her from some land.
Yeah. No. And this kid is, I mean, he carries the movie in many ways. He's in every of the film, and he's fantastic. How do you know when you're casting someone that they're going to be able to do that? After this long, you've worked with some of the biggest actors of all time, but you're casting a relatively unknown kid to carry the weight of a movie like this. How did you know that he was up to the task?
Well, you start with having an idea of who the character is. And in this case, even though it's not Nick, it's certainly an extension of him in certain ways. That in the back of my head, I'm looking at an actor and I want to see if he has the qualities, some of the qualities that I see in Nick in terms of his honesty and his depth and the way he plays things. And then to be honest with you, he auditions. And in the case of Nick Robinson, he auditioned with the guy that plays his friend in the movie, Devin Bostic, who plays Adam, and they clicked immediately, like as if they had known each other for forever. And I said, "Ooh, that's what it needs to be, and it needs to feel like that."
Right.
And another thing, other than casting, we all stayed at a hotel, the Hyatt House, at this, and we all hung out after every day, and that. Kid, he first showed up, he had like a book about junkies, he had like watched some YouTube, and he started asking me questions about it, and I would try to fill him as best as possible. But since the writing was done by us and Matt, he kind of got our sensibilities. So did Devin, from hanging with us, try to help him with that in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. The father in this is a former Hollywood actor, now turned politician. So he's got one foot in Hollywood and one foot in politics. This seems like as this character, as Charlie was an extension of Nick, this seems like this character could be an extension of you, Rob.
Yeah,
you sort of.
That was the idea. That I wanted to portray a character that was somewhat like me. I mean, it's not exactly like me because hopefully I'm not that big an asshole, but no. But we wanted to have an antagonist, and we wanted to have there to be conflict between the father and son. And the fact that Carrie Elwes, who, in Princess Bride, did this part, I felt really good because I had, kept in touch with him over the years and always looked for something to do with him. And I just felt comfortable that I put the essence of me in his hands, and so that was a good thing. I do have a foot in politics, and I do, and I was an actor and all that. So we tried to make it as close to what we went through as possible. But it is a fiction. I mean, it is a fiction.
Well, I guess my question is, as a person who is a director, a producer, I mean, Castle Rock Entertainment, I don't know if people know, it created Seinfeld, and it just in absolute classics of our generation. There, I would do that. Did you find that at a time when Nick needed you, that you were also maybe really busy with a movie that you were working on? Because making movies, making TV shows does take a lot of work, be it on the set, reading the scripts, or just dealing with the business.
That's a better question to ask Nick, because I don't know if I was as available as I might have been, but that's something that you could answer. I mean,
what was the question? Sorry.
He wanted to know if being involved in show business and all that took me away from you to any degree that.
No.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
How would you say this film differs from the past dramatic works that you've done? I mean, I think this one is definitely much more dramatic than most of your work, except for maybe like A Few Good Men or a couple of.
Well, there's a lot of humor in this though too. I mean, there's a lot of big laughs in it, and I always felt like if you're going to do anything that remotely mirrors the life experience, it's going to be funny and it's going to be tragic. I mean, there's some very dark moments in the film, but there's some also really, really funny moments. So The only thing for me, and I always tried to, even in Misery, there's laughs. I always try to find ways of getting humor in it. The thing that's different for this is that it's closer to the bone than any of the other films I've.
It was Misery, closer to the bone.
Closer to the bone, but in a different way.
You got me there. I couldn't
I
couldn't
know,
help.
I know.
As soon as you said there were laughs in Misery, the ankle immediately appeared in my mind.
Big laugh.
Yeah.
Break when she breaks his ankle. Laugh riot.
Is it not that you ever want to not have comedy in any of your projects, but having grown up in the comedy world, is it difficult for you to not have comedy, to not sort of be obsessed with comedians and stand up and joke telling?
Well, I mean, it's in my blood. I mean, it's the way I view life. I mean, I'm not, the way my father is. I mean, he's more of a pure comedian. Nick was saying that the film that he likes best, the ones I did, was Stand By Me. And, that made me feel, because that film was the first film that really reflected my personality more than anything I've done. It has a moodiness and a melancholy to it, but it also has laughs and there's fun to it. So that's more my personality. And I always see funny things and things, and also sad things. I try to blend the two if I can.
Nick, what about you? How often do you find yourself having the same comic tenor as your father?
Well, I try to be funny whenever I can, but I don't really know. I don't know what that meant.
Well, when you're working on this script, did you feel like you had to sort of inject humor, or did you sort of find the humor organically?
No, there's so much funny stuff that happens in rehab, and a lot of funny people, like tragic and all, but the people that are there are not going to want you to throw them a pity party. They're going to want you to laugh at the situation and make light of it.
There's a great scene in the movie when you see it where the main character Charlie is gotten bathroom detail, and he's having to clean the bathroom, and there's his friend there, and they're working, the two guys in rehab, and they're cleaning the bathroom, and there's a dialogue between the two of them that's hysterical, and it's actually a conversation that Nick had with somebody that he encountered and so they put it right in the script.
Yeah, the confusion in that scene is very real, and I sort of got a sense when I watched it, like, this is a real conversation.
Yeah.
I can tell that this conversation
This actually happened
somewhere.
and he couldn't figure out what that. I mean, for those of you who have seen it, I don't want to give too much of it away, but it's about a guy who gets sexual favors and also scores. And
it's a who's on first with heroin and hookers.
The other guy can't figure out, well, what is the guy who's giving you the favors? He's also giving you the dope. What is he getting out of this? And couldn't figure it out. So it's pretty funny.
Rob, I have to ask, as we said that you're an actor who's also had one foot in politics. After Indiana last night and cases this morning, how are you feeling coming into this year's Republican primary and Democratic primary?
Well, it's probably the most bizarre political cycle I've ever experienced in my life. But I do believe that if America has any sense of anything, we will reject Donald Trump, and we will, because I was saying this today, I said this earlier today, that the only reason anybody pays any attention to this guy is because he's famous. Because if you took just a person, any person, and you had them say some of the things that he says all the time, ban Muslims, Latinos, they're all rapists, and throw 12 million of them out, the way he talks about women, the way he says, we'll bring back torture or give them their weapons to South Korea and Japan. I mean, everything he says, if it was not a famous person, it would be some crazy crackpot in the park standing on a soapbox that you would walk by. The end is near. Yeah, thanks. And you'd walk by. The mere fact that he's famous and the mere fact that the media is willing to give him all the time because he brings ratings. We're living in a reality world right now, the Kardashianization of America and all that. Then you have a guy who they're going to make money. They're going to make money, and that's what they do. And reporters are interested in getting access. So I urge reporters to do their due diligence, pin this guy down, make him, own the things he's saying. Can you imagine for just a second, there's a bunch of people from the KKK or white supremacist groups who are signing on your campaign, and you don't say, I don't want these people part of my legions. I don't want them with me. These are hate mongers. These are racists. These are people who are the worst part of humanity. They're coming onto my... No, he doesn't do that. He welcomes them with open arms. So we cannot have a person like this. It's very, very dangerous. And I'm curious to see. I believe we'll win. I believe, Hillary will beat. But if she doesn't win in a landslide, and if she doesn't win in a way that shows where that narrow racist streak is in America, then I think it's a very sad day, because we know that racism hasn't gone away. It's there. But this man has given voice to it. And so we're going to find very carefully how many people really have those feelings and really espouse those things. And because I'm telling you, if you're going with a guy like that, he's a xenophobic, he's a racist, and he's a misogynist, and he's a liar. And so we just hopefully have to defeat him in a big, big way.
Absolutely.
Hey Jody, Detective Steve Flores, Main Service on the Police Department.
Oh, hey, how are you?
Good. You needed to talk to me about something?
Well, I just wanted to offer any assistance that I might have. I was a really good friend of Travis's, and I know that I don't know a lot of anything, but...
What have you heard so far?
I heard that he passed away, and that... I don't know. I heard all kinds of rumors. I heard there was a lot of blood.
When we first arrived on scene and started talking to people, some of his closest friends began mentioning your name. Hey, you need to call her because she probably knows what happened to him, or she possibly had something to do with it.
Looking for a good binge? The Jodi Arias murder trial is back. Relive the stunning testimony, explicit evidence, courtroom meltdowns, and the circus that surrounded the case. From sexual obsession to betrayal, this is the true crime case that captivated the world. If you think you know the story, watch it unfold again, raw and uninterrupted. The Jodi Arias trial, re-airing only on Southern Sin. True crime just got darker. Catch the full episode on the link above. Subscribe to At Southern Sin today and hit the notification bell for more live original episodes Wednesdays at 8 p.m.